Hello, everyone. It's Ted E. Fame, formerly of Tony Williams Platters. I was a member of the Platters for 10 years, from 1982 to 1992. Today, I'm making this video, or this episode, whichever you want to call it, and I'm going to try to go back and remember and tell you about how I became a member of this incredible Hall of Fame group. It was 1982. Sorry about that. New York City, Manhattan specifically. I was 22 years old. I was working at a Xerox copy service. Xerox copy service. It was a store, because back then you didn't you didn't have the convenience you have now, where you can fax stuff and things like that nature. So if you needed copies of a letter or anything, you would go to a copy shop and get copies made. So I was working at a copy shop, and it was located on 7th Avenue between 56 and between 55th and 56th Street. So I'll try to condense this and make this shorter. So one day in the afternoon, a person came into the store to get some copies made. Now there's 3 of us that works at the copy shop behind the counter. And it just so happens, out of the 3 of us, I'm the one that have to serve this customer. So the customer handed me an article, a sheet of paper, and asked me that they need some copies made. So back then, what you would do is you would make one copy, look it over, make sure everything looks good, show it to the customer, and if they like it, then you continue making multiple copies of it. Well, it just so happens that this paper that they wanted to copy was a contract for a performance they wanted to do. And the contract was for the Platters to be performing at such and such vineyard at such and such time. So when I'm looking over the contract, I'm going, Platters? Why that sounds familiar? And I asked the person, I'm sorry, but this is the Platters. This is that vocal group from the 50s, the Platters? And she said, yes. I said, oh, okay. So while I was making the copies, she asked me, did I ever heard of the Platters? Do I know the Platters music? I'm sorry. And I said, yeah, I know The Great Pretender. And what else I told her? I think I said, Only You. I knew those 2 songs because I heard those on the radio at some point in my life. So she asked me, what did I think of the group? I said, wow, it was before my time, but I thought it was a great group. It was a black group. I think it was the first black group to have a #1 record on the pop charts. So while we're talking, I said, and by the way, you know what? I work here at this place to earn a living, but I'm actually a singer too, and I'm out here singing around town. And she goes, really? I say, yeah, And in passing, you say stuff that the cliche thing that, oh man, that would never happen. But basically, I said to her, as I finished serving her and giving her copies and was leaving, I said, well, and if you ever need a singer, I'm right here. And you're not thinking that something's going to come in at you. Well, at least I didn't believe it, And then again, this is an old group. Why would they want me? So a couple of weeks later, that same person came back by the store and says, you were the guy that said that you sing, right? And I said, yeah, that's me. And she goes, well, I remembered that. And by the way, one of the members can no longer perform and go on tour and travel with us and do shows. So we're looking to replace him. And I remembered you, and I like your height and the way you look. So we're holding auditions, and I'd like to invite you down to an audition. I said, oh, that's great. I said, but you know what? Tomorrow night, I'm singing around the corner. Now, at the time, in the early 80s, we had what they call open mic. And they would have a piano player and a microphone. And you give the piano player your music, and the piano player play your music if they didn't know it. And you sing along in little clubs, little bars, this was a little Irish bar called Ye Old Triple Win on 54th Street between Broadway and 7th Avenue. Matter of fact, it's right across the street from Studio 54. And I usually sing over there a couple of times a week. So I told her, well, instead of me auditioning, how about you come down to the club, to the bar tomorrow night and see me perform in front of a live audience and see if you like my whole thing. Besides auditioning, you can see my stage presence and everything. So she said that'd be a good idea. Asked me what time. I told them what time I was going to be there. So the next night, they came down. Her, the road manager, her being Helen Williams, who was actually the manager of Tony and the lady singing in the group. So she played a dual role. So she brought down the road manager and I think one of the other members of the Platters. And I sung 2 songs. I sung My Girl by the Temptations. I sung a Marvin Gaye song. I think I sung Heard It Through the Grapevine, if I'm not mistaken. So I sung those 2 songs. And after I performed, they invited me over to the table. I sat down and they talked to me and they said, you were very good. We specifically like your vocal tone and your vocal range. You are actually a second tenor, which is the voice that we're trying to replace. So everything about you is good. I think we found our replacement. So I don't think we need to audition anybody. So if you're interested, the job is yours. I went like, wow, really? Really? I couldn't believe it. Wow. Okay. So I don't know. So what's next? So she goes, well, our next show is in 2 weeks. So it gives you enough time to rehearse our show. To rehearse. Oh no, I'm sorry. She said our next show is in 2 weeks, and then we have a show after that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you down to the next show so you'll see what our show looks like. And then you'll take over from the guy you're replacing on the show after that. Which was good because it gave me an opportunity to see the group and see their performance in the show. And when I saw them perform and I saw the guy who I was taking his place, I'm like, damn, he's good. Wow, I'm gonna take his place. And I was mostly intimidated because at that show they were the only act. So when they're the only act, everybody in the group gets to sing lead. But when they're on the shows with other artists, then only Tony was singing lead and they'll just do the hits. Well, this is at some club in Jersey. And we were the only act on the show, so they did like an hour or something minutes. So the place I was taking, I think his name was Derek Davis. He sung a song called a Jackie Wilson song called Higher and Higher. Man, he killed that song. He was incredible. I'm like, wow. I was intimidated. I'm telling you right now, I was intimidated. I didn't think I could sing as good as him. But they sort of, once I joined the group, they sort of worked me in. I didn't sing any lead for at least a year or so before they actually let me sing lead. So all I did was sing background for the first year. I remember that. And then finally, when I did get to sing lead, That's a whole nother episode, a whole nother series of videos I'm gonna make, and I'll talk about that another time. But yeah. So we rehearsed for that week. We rehearsed that week. They rehearsed. I rehearsed with them, so I had to learn the songs. And then I went to that show, and like I said, I saw everything. But I was pretty comfortable. At least I thought I was. I got a whole story about the first show I did with them, where this rookie got stage fright. That's a whole nother story that I'll tell you on my next episode. So, like I said, I went to the show, saw the show, was incredible. I was intimidated by Derek's performance, but I was happy because he, actually, no, Derek was leaving the group. I'm sorry. I said that he couldn't perform no more. He wanted to go off and do his own thing. He took the place of when they put the group, when Tony and Helen reformed the group in 71. I think it was 71. He was the guy that they first formed the group with. He was the second tenor. So from 1971, he was a member of, this is Tony Williams' version of the Platters. There's other versions of the Platters out there at the time, but you had Buck Rams, who owned the right to the name the Platters. So he had his version, and they were based in Vegas. And then Zola Taylor, she had her version of the Platters. They were based in Los Angeles. And then Herb Reed, he had his version of the Platters. I think they were based in Massachusetts. And Tony Williams, he formed his version of the Platters, and we were based in New York City, where he was living with his wife, Helen, in Manhattan. They had a nice penthouse apartment on 58th Street, right across the street from Central Park. It was right, actually, it was in Columbus Circle. Penthouse apartment with a terrace that went halfway around the building. It was incredible. So, Tony, I took Derek's place, and he, at that time, I guess he had been in the group. I joined the group in 82. He was joined the group in 71. So he was probably in the group for 11 years. So I guess he was ready to move on and do his own thing. So he was leaving the group. That's what happened. And I was his replacement. And I ended up doing 10 years until Tony's death. Yeah, so that's about how I joined the group. I wanted to tell that story and make sure I document it so everybody know how I actually joined the Platters. So there it is. How Ted E. Fane became a member of Tony Williams Platters. I hope you enjoyed this video that I'm about to post. And my next video I will post, I will talk about my first show with the Platters and what happened. And I got stage fright and froze on stage. Yeah, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, that'll be the next episode. So until then, peace and love. Teddy Fane. Oh, by the way, before I forget, please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And this is for you Platters fans out there who would like to hear these stories about my time being a member of Tony Williams Platters and going on tour and the different shows we did with all the different artists and just being with Tony Williams. I got a lot of behind the scenes stories to tell. And I'll be telling here on this channel that I created specifically for you Platters fans. I'm the last surviving member of Tony Williams Platters. And here I am making these videos for you. So until next time, I'll see you again. Peace.